Every year, thousands of people say that they're going to lose weight, but most don't follow through, and some do. Coming up, stories of some amazing people who have committed to their goals and lost an incredible amount of weight. Join us as we take a look at some of the biggest weight loss stories. John Brower Manock. At his highest weight, this man, born in 1941, was labeled as the heaviest man ever recorded. Experts estimate that he weighed approximately 1,400 pounds at his peak, but they couldn't tell for sure because they didn't have a scale that was able to support his weight. But that's not the only record he broke. He and his wife broke the record for the biggest difference in weight between a married couple. Even though he was over 1,000 pounds, she was only 110 pounds. Oh, and they had 2 children together. He then had to be hospitalized for massive generalized edema, which is a condition where the body retains extra fluids. His doctor estimated that over 900 pounds of his 1,400-pound frame consisted of excess fluid. However, his journey to the hospital would not be an easy one. It took more than a dozen people, a modified stretcher, and a ferry ride just to get him there, where he would then be placed on 2 beds that had to be rigged together to hold him. During his 16-month hospital stay, he was put on a strict diet and would successfully lose about 920 pounds, which equates to a little over 57 pounds per month. After being discharged, however, he put back on 196 pounds of the weight that he had lost. And by the time of his death, he once again was fairly heavy, clocking in at 796 pounds. Regardless of him falling off the wagon, his initial weight loss story proves that you can do just about anything if you really commit to it. Michael Hebranko. This Staten Island man, who was deemed one of the heaviest men in the world when he hit his peak weight in 1988, was at 1,120 pounds. He was admitted to the hospital for 19 months, where he went from 906 pounds to 200 pounds, all with the help of Richard Simmons workouts, along with a healthy diet and some fat removal surgeries. He was even entered into the Guinness Book of World Records for the highest recorded weight loss in 1990. Following his weight loss, he would make infomercials for Richard Simmons and also appear on The Howard Stern Show. He then traveled all over the United States to share his weight loss experience and be an advocate for healthy eating and exercise. After he came down from his weight loss high, he then began to regain the weight, reaching back to a weight of 999 pounds, at which point he would be hospitalized on and off again. He then astonishingly shot up to 1,100 pounds in June of 1999. And decided to undergo surgery to bring his weight back down to 457 pounds. However, he would eventually die in June of 2013, weighing 550 pounds at the time of his death. But his journey wasn't for nothing. He proved and promoted that with a healthy diet and exercise, you can lose a great deal of weight, no matter how much extra fat that you've accumulated over the years. Manuel Uribe. Manuel Uribe was officially labeled as the world's heaviest man. Beginning in 2001, he was unable to move and had been forced to live in his bed, where his family and friends fed and bathed him. Manuel has been featured on many television shows and was offered gastric bypass surgery by doctors in Italy, all of which he would refuse. When he would hit his highest weight of 1,316 pounds, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and he decided that enough was enough. In 2007, Manuel said that he wanted to reduce his weight down to 265, and in just 1 year, he lost 500 pounds, putting his weight in the 800-pound range and earning himself a spot in the Guinness Book of World Records. That year, he would leave his house for the first time in many years, with his main goal being to marry his sweetheart, Claudia Solis. However, he must have lost momentum along the way, because in 2014, he wasn't feeling very well and was taken to the hospital via a crane. Along with a heart arrhythmia, he also suffered liver problems and sadly passed away. Despite his unfortunate ending, nothing was more inspiring than watching the world's heaviest man lose a significant amount of weight in an attempt at a better life. Rosalie Bradford. This woman would prove that even if you're labeled one of the heaviest people, you don't have to stay that way. Rosalie frequently loved to binge eat, and in 1979, she had been subjected to nothing more than lying in bed due to her weight. But it wasn't just any bed. She had to have 2 beds chained together into one just to be able to hold her, and by 1987, she weighed 1,050 pounds. That's when her loved ones finally stepped in and gave her the dose of reality that she needed to get her life back on track. Like any other woman trying to lose weight in the 1980s, she followed Richard Simmons' weight loss plan. And when she started, all she could do was clap her hands while watching his videos in bed. But as she grew stronger, she was able to do more of the movements and slim down to an incredible 314 pounds. But sadly, some damage had already been done, and she spent the last year of her life confined to a bed, mainly due to her swollen legs caused by lymph nodes that had been damaged years prior, and then she would later die from complications. Mayra Rosales. Speaking of the world record of the most weight lost by a woman, Mayra Rosales stole that title from Rosalie Bradford back in 2013. However, this woman is known for more than just her inspiring weight loss story. Bedridden 1,000-pound Mayra was accused of rolling on her 2-year-old nephew and killing him in 2008, earning her the name of the half-ton killer. She would go on to plead guilty to protect her sister from suffering the consequences, and figured that since she was already bedridden and not really living anyway, she might as well take the blame. After she was found not guilty, she was fed up with her current lifestyle and decided that that's when she would make a change. She was then featured on TLC's My 600-Pound Life, and with the help of 11 surgeries and a healthy diet, she would lose 800 pounds. Not only is she not a killer after all, but now she tells one of the most amazing weight loss stories ever told and inspires others to do the same. David Smith. This man, known as the 650-pound virgin, surprised everyone with his incredible transformation. In 2003, weighing over 600 pounds, David Smith committed to taking his life back. After being introduced to famous personal trainer Chris Powell, who enforced carb cycling and a regular exercise routine, David would bring his weight down to 229 pounds. After the transformation, he had a lot of excess skin, so he then underwent a few surgeries to remove it. However, like most people realize during their weight loss journey, changing the outside never really changes the inside, and eventually turned to alcohol and drugs, and then back to food to cope. However, he soon became afraid that his time was running out, and with the help of his girlfriend, he's committed to losing the weight all over again. Steve Vogt. Have you ever thought that maybe you could lose weight just by walking? Well, Steve Vogt proved that it's possible. He was weighing 410 pounds when he began his walking journey in Oceanside, California, with nothing more than himself and an 85-pound backpack, all in an attempt to lose weight. He quickly became known as the Fat Man Walking. Throughout the trip, he struggled to find healthy food options and claimed that most gas stations, and even sit-down restaurants, only offered junk food or high-carb, high-fat options. Regardless of these facts, he would keep going, ending his trip in Manhattan, New York, and accruing 3,000 miles under his feet. But walking that incredible distance and finding healthy food were not the only obstacles that he faced. Skeptics accused him of catching rides or finding ways to not have to walk at times because he was still obese after the trip. Despite the critics, however, he would lose 100 pounds, which is really impressive when your only weight loss regimen is walking. Alison Braun. Most of the people on our list have regained most or all of their weight before the end of their life, but there are some out there that succeed in keeping it all off. Meet Alison Braun, who appeared on The Biggest Loser, where she lost a little over 145 pounds. The show is known for helping contestants lose significant amounts of weight, but afterwards, many often return to the bad habits that they once had and gain the weight that they lost, if not more of it. However, this was not the case for Allison. Even though her fans were concerned with her ability to keep the weight off, she was determined, and so far, 7 years after leaving the show, things are looking great for her. Not only has she shed the weight and kept it off, but she even toned up her body. However, it didn't come easy. In addition to transitioning back to normal everyday life, her husband lost his battle with depression when he committed suicide just a year after she returned home. Even through her husband's tragic suicide, she's been able to refrain from turning to food, making her arguably one of the biggest and most successful weight loss stories on our list. Justin Willoughby. Justin Willoughby was another former obese individual that lost and kept off a significant amount of weight. But it took a hospital visit to turn this former 800-pound man's life around. This recovering food addict admits that he would binge eat food, and eventually he began turning to food for comfort to help him cope with anxiety and panic attacks. But his addiction landed him in the hospital in 2003. At just 16 years old, doctors would have to tell him that he would die if he didn't drop the weight, and that's what would force him to kick it into high gear. He began a simple workout routine of repeatedly standing for a few minutes and then sitting. After his muscles regained their strength, he then began walking. As of 2014, Justin has bulked up from weightlifting and weighs 235 pounds. Today, he's a trainer, a public speaker, and an author who hopes to help people that also struggle with food addiction. Have you or a loved one or somebody you know gone through an incredible transformation like this? Tell me all about it in the comments below. Oh, and put that cheeseburger down. Thanks for watching. The corset piercing. A trend that began in the 90s, corset piercing involves getting a bunch of different piercings running down your back on either side of the spine.